happening, folks, and welcome to the channel. Today's movie is brand new, and I'll be watching it for the first time right here, right now, with you. When I was a kid, I got a job in a movie theater as soon as I was legally able to do so, and I was way younger than you would think. Back then, there were a bunch of perks to the job. We got to see all the new movies a few days ahead of everybody else, and when you're a teenager, that kind of makes you better than everybody else. We never had to pay for popcorn or drinks, but most important to me, we could watch as many movies as we wanted to for free. When we had horror movies in, I would spend literally all my spare time in there watching them over and over again, trying to understand the mechanics of how horror movies scare people. And one of the first movies I did this with was the original Pet Sematary. So like a lot of other movies from that era, it is near and dear to my horror heart. Having said that, Pet Sematary Bloodlines is a 2023 American supernatural horror film directed by Lindsay Beer in her directorial debut. The story serves as a prequel to Pet Sematary by Stephen King, and it stars Jackson White, Forrest Goodluck, Natalie Allen Lind, and Isabella Starr LeBlanc. I've heard of one of those, for sure. So they are opening with a monologue explaining the history of the Pet Sematary and the Micmac Indians, which is brilliant because being told what's happening is always way better than watching it happen yourself. So far, I have no idea who's actually delivering the exposition dump, though.
Sometimes dead is better.
Oh my god, I knew I should have said something about this before the movie started. They couldn't even resist throwing in the "sometimes dead is better" catchphrase for 60 seconds. Apparently this story's taking place in Maine in 1969, which is 20 years before Mary Lambert's film. Oh, David Duchovny. How ye have fallen, sir. That reminds me, a really good friend of mine, Phil, was an extra on the X-Files way back when, and he used to send me pictures all the time of Gillian Anderson and David Duchovny fighting with each other, because apparently David Duchovny's hilarious in real life and Gillian Anderson has absolutely no sense of humor in real life. David Duchovny's just dragged the body of what might have been a soldier, presumably into the
Pet Cemetery.
Before he gets even 10 feet away, the body reanimates, and it grabs hold of Duchovny's dog. Then they cut to a daytime shot, and they open the movie with the song Bad Moon Risin', which is a song about impending doom, and that's very subtle and original. Whoa, hold on a second. This is meant to be the Crandall family? Aha! Henry Thomas, aka Elliot from E.T., who's been in a million other things since then, I suppose. And he says he can't believe a Crandall is actually going to leave Ludlow. So Henry Thomas is playing Judd Crandall's dad, and they've cast Jackson White, the son of Jack White and Katie Seagal, aka Peggy Bundy, as Judd Crandall. Will you kindly indulge me a moment, folks, as my horror head explodes? This is Fred Gwynne's iconic Judd Crandall from 1989's Pet Sematary. His character is very true to Stephen King's novel, The Source Material, and that puts Judd in his early 80s, if memory serves me correctly. The number 83 is popping into my head from the book. And as per this movie's title, Bloodlines, and the opening graphics telling us it's 1969, I'd say it's safe to assume this movie's going back to explore Judd's origins. Mary Lambert's film adaptation came out in 1989. For all intents and purposes, it was set in 1989, and that would put young Judd Crandall at 63 years old in this movie. And then there's this other minor detail.
Your dad's gonna be the new doctor up the college, I hear.
That is how Judd and everybody else in the town spoke. And that regional accent is as iconic as Fred Gwynne's physical appearance. And trust me on that one, folks, I have annoyed every single girlfriend I have ever had with that impersonation. That road. Problem around these parts, that damn road. That road. That road. That damn road. That road. That road. That road. It's the problem around these parts is that damn road. If you can imagine trying to sit down on a Saturday night to watch a movie on the couch next to... Anyways, all these new characters sound like this.
Try to look a little less happy I'm leaving, Dad.
And that puts me at a crossroads again with these Codeine commentaries. If sarcasm and nitpicking annoys you, or you're just not in the mood for that sort of thing right now, feel free to click away onto something else. I fully understand. But we're only 4 minutes into this movie, and they've already shown such a lack of respect for actual Pet Sematary fans that I am not going to be able to fake kindness for this movie. And if you think maybe I'm being too picky, serves as a prequel to Pet Sematary. Their own words, not mine. So, let's go. So Judd's doing that whole, I've got to get out of this Powduck town thing straight away, so we're under no illusions there's going to be anything original in this story. And as he's moving boxes, a picture falls out and lands on the ground at the exact moment he bumps into David Duchovny, which worked out perfectly because it's a photo of Judd with Duchovny's son, and they were just about to have a conversation about Duchovny's son. Life sure is full of coincidences. Aha! So that means David Duchovny is playing Bill Baterman, and that makes his son, Timmy Baterman, who was this guy from the original. And in the original movie, Timmy's legit creepy as fuck. He doesn't last very long because the town burns his house down with Timmy and his dad inside it. I should also point out Timmy was actually killed in Italy during World War II in the early 1940s, obviously. And that means, so far, this movie's only got 2 or 3 major things completely wrong with the source material. Timmy's timeline is only off by about 25 years, and a single major war, seeing as they're saying he was in Vietnam. Unless I've got it completely wrong, maybe he was in Vietnam on holiday, and he choked to death on a massive bowl of yummy faux noodles. Anyways, apparently Judd is heading away to Michigan to join the Peace Corps with his stunning wife. Now, nothing to do with the source material, but logically speaking, that doesn't make any sense either. Judd Crandall would not have had a stunning wife. No harm to the man. Fred Gwynne was one of my favorite actors, rest in peace and all that. All I'm saying is he looked completely natural in Frankenstein makeup. Right, so Duchovny's implying that Judd's never been drafted for the army because his dad, Elliot from E.T., has been paying to keep him off the draft list. And when Judd sits down to a lovely home-cooked dinner with his loving family, Judd gets annoyed that his father's trying to protect him. As a side note, I need to say, Elliot from E.T.'s really letting me down here. It's like he's reading his lines off whichever wall he's standing in front of. Does he not realize this could be his big breakout role? All you have to do is father the fuck out of this big, good-looking, well-built, completely unappreciative young man, and Hollywood stardom's at your fingertips, Elliot.
E.T. phone home. Elliot, give me your iPhone. Fuck, we use Android on my planet.
His dad asks him if he's told his friend Manny that he's leaving yet, and Judd says no. So his dad says, son, most of us only get one life, and it's too short for unfinished business. That's quality dialogue, and very appropriate for the situation. Son, most of us only get one life. Gosh, Dad, he's like 4 feet away. I'm literally going to walk over there and tell him I'm leaving right now. Well, you don't always have to turn everything into some kind of after-school special. I'm in my 60s, Dad. Jeez, I nearly didn't recognize her. That's Pam frickin' Grier. Maybe they should have called this movie Ex-Big Movie Star Cemetery. These two were talking about the sheriff finding an open grave somewhere the size of a dog, apparently, which is a really weird thing to say, and that means it's a setup for something later on. And then Judd comes along and Pam Grier calls him the first Crandall to leave Ludlow, which is the 3rd time people have said that to him already. And that, folks, is either small-town hive mind thinking or shitty writing. You decide. So right in the middle of the conversation, Pam Grier tells Judd his dad loves him for no apparent reason. So Judd tells her it doesn't feel like that because his dad never speaks to him. So Pam Grier goes, that's what daddies do! I'm probably gonna get in trouble for that one, but it's what she actually said, so leave me alone. So as per schedule, Judd leaves home the next day, and the poor bastard has a beautiful car, too. You can tell right away whoever wrote this character doesn't get character. He has everything. He behaves impeccably. He's more mature than his parents, and everyone in town seems to love him. His only daily struggle is deciding which tank top to put on every morning. Nobody cares about flawless characters. We can't relate to them. It's even the same in real life if you got one of those people in your friend circles with a perfect family and a perfect house and a perfect career. Sure, everybody's all chummy and hugs and kisses when they're there, but the second they head home early because their daughter has to get up early the next day to win her 8th consecutive show jumping competition, you bet your ass all the other wives are all hoping her horse debutante wakes up with a wicked case of explosive diarrhea. Oh, fuck off. As soon as they hit the road, his stunning girlfriend asks him to speculate where the Peace Corps might be sending them in the world. This guy has a supermodel girlfriend, a loving family, a wicked car, and he's about to literally head out to see the entire world for free, and his answer is...
Wherever. as long as I can serve in some way.
And then his supermodel girlfriend tries encouraging him to smile. Why the hell isn't young Judd ecstatic? I would be constantly walking around with... That's it. That's what it is. He's got this angelic, enthusiastic, intelligent girl sitting next to him in his brilliant car with the world literally at their feet, and he can't enjoy any of it because he's numb below the waist from being in his 60s. They didn't have pills for that kind of thing back then. So a crow smashed into their windscreen, but there's also a dog at the same time. Normally, you'd have a crow or a dog, wouldn't you? I bet you this is one of those diversity quotas. Okay, folks, we've used 2 creepy dogs, a cat, and a donkey with a learning disability over the last 3 projects. That means in this movie, according to this Hollywood chart, we are required to use a recently divorced goldfish, a silverback gorilla poker champion, and a single black crow. Let's make that happen. And it's David Duchovny's dog, and seeing as Pam Grier knows they found a dog-sized open grave, we can assume this dog's all pet cemeteried. Next, we meet Manny and Donna, Judd's friend and his sister, and they're both Native American to tie in with the lore, probably. And after they talk about Judd leaving Ludlow as well, Manny falls down and drives a bit of wood through his hand, and then he cries. Probably because he's embarrassed by how obvious a setup that was. I'm the best actor in this movie by a mile, and they're making me cry after tripping over a bit of wood. Meanwhile, back at the old Baderman place, I love using that term for people's homes. I've never understood it. Like, what's the qualifying criteria for me being able to call my house the old Johnny place? Timmy Baderman comes to the window, and again, I'll probably get in some kind of trouble for this, but he's meant to have been resurrected from the dead and terrifyingly displaced upstairs. Again, here's a reminder. But in this version, Lindsay Beer has him speaking exactly like Leonardo DiCaprio in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Not bad. Instead of having the usual fake dog latching onto somebody's arm, they had a real dog latch onto a fake arm, and it's semi-believable. Aw, and Timmy sits watching on through the window like it's Netflix, meaning it's super boring, but he's got nothing else to do. So Judd tells Manny about what just happened with the dog and Timmy's lack of concern over it. In return, Manny tells Judd about a bunch of other weird things that Timmy's done to him recently. And after a long, deep think session, Judd says,
I think something's wrong.
And when Judd goes back to speak to young Tim, David Duchovny tells him to piss off and reminds him yet again his father is trying to get him out of Ludlow. So he goes home and has another sit down with his dad, and when his mother gets up to leave, it shows her left leg's mangled like she was attacked by a dog too. And Judd tells his dad, in no uncertain terms, he doesn't need his protection anymore. Dad, I know it's probably like instinct or something for you as a father, but remember, I don't need your protection anymore. I'm in my 60s. And his dad's all like, son, most of us only get one life, and it's too short for looking 23 but being in your 60s. Jesus, Dad, not now with the cryptic fortune cookie shit. I'm okay again. Back at the old Baderman place, young Timmy's done up a list, with crayons from the look of it, of all the folks he's gonna do in. And why is he doing that, you ask? I don't know. I'm watching this along with you guys. And then he pulls a little practical effect away from his finger to show us he's falling apart. Okay, so Pam Grier is fully aware of what's going on. She's also fully aware they found a dog-shaped open grave. So logically, when the creepy, gross, sticky dog crawls up on her, she gives it beef jerky. Then young Timmy, who I am going to call Arnie Grape from here on in, springs up from behind her somehow, even though they're out in the middle of nowhere, and he starts talking more of his Rain Man shit, and then the dog starts acting like his undead guard dog. And there's nothing sadder than watching a half-assed actor trying to act insane without proper direction. Then Pam Grier calls the cop, I think he's the cop, and between the two of them, they remove any and all mystery from what's going on by explaining the steps of what is happening to Arnie Grape. That's got to be one of the worst movie telephone calls I have ever watched. Imagine you and I are on the phone and we're talking about something we've done together recently. We'll say lunch. I ordered liver and onions. You ordered pancakes. Hey, remember last week? I do. Do you remember last week when we met for lunch? I do. Do you remember last week when we met for lunch and you ordered pancakes? I do. Do you remember last week when we met for lunch and you ordered pancakes and I ordered liver and onions? Yep. So, you remember last week when we met for lunch and you ordered pancakes and I ordered liver and onions then? Uh-huh. I think we need to get together and talk about that immediately. So they all agree to get together for a community powwow, and the second they put the phone down, Arnie Grape's dog has a go at Pam Grier. Then we join Donna and Manny at a 1969 party, and Donna talks to her brother and looks at him like she's hoping to take him home later. And it's weird. I wrote it off the first time in the field, but nope, that's a thing. And this kind of scene secures Oscar nominations for costume departments, folks, because look at everybody. Like, they're all on the cover of the newest Carpenter's record. Newsflash, costume departments. In the 60s and 70s, people also wore jeans and t-shirts. So Arnie Grape shows up and he forces himself into a dance with Donna, and he says a bunch more of his usual dumb shit, which I would be conveying to you if it was worth conveying. Trust me. And then Manny spear tackles him and he keeps talking shite on the ground. And then back at the community powwow, Pam Grier shows up with a mug full of stitches after killing the dog. Then Manny and Donna talk about their ancestors building the pet cemetery to protect themselves from evil. And Donna says Arnie Grape's not himself. No shit. And then Judd, the 60-year-old who doesn't appear to own a shirt that has sleeves on it, wakes up thinking something was at his window. So he runs outside with a rifle and walks around his property shirtless for a really long time. And when he goes back inside, his dad, who's overprotective and obsessed with making sure his son is safe, doesn't even ask him why he's outside or why he's naked or why he's holding a fucking rifle. Then Manny sneaks in his window and asks him why he's so sexy. And I'm serious. Between the two of them, they decide to head to the church to see what records they can get their hands on. On what? I don't know, but it might make sense after they get there. And while that's going on, Arnie Grape breaks in and attacks Donna at home, and then he chases her into a sunflower field, which was really nice of him. If you're gonna kill a girl, kill her somewhere pretty. And at the church, the priest, who is so comically stereotyped I can't even look at my screen right now, talks the lads through a flashback from 1647. And within that flashback, this guy wanders in and says, "Looks like an animal burial ground." Are supernatural Micmac burial grounds for your pet like a common thing? Stephen King didn't make these things up. Does that make pet cemeteries part of Thanksgiving? Isn't this film thought-provoking? Then they go through a shitload of explanation, and I'll save you guys having to listen to it because it's just a lot of circular repetition. Then it cuts back to Elliot from E.T., who reads a shitload more explanation, and I will skip that for you guys too because it's the exact same shit again. To summarize everything I've skipped over in the last few minutes, the ground is sour, the ground is evil, white folks are evil, everyone in Ludlow knows the place is evil, even though most of the families have lived there for generations and generations. Figure that one out. Then Arnie Grape drags Donna all the way to the pet cemetery to bury her, I think. And when Arnie Grape goes to replenish his energy by eating the hind quarter of a raw elephant off the top shelf of the fridge, David Duchovny sits down and does a little fake cry thing. So Elliot from E.T. explains the pet cemetery to 60-year-old Judd in a tank top, and I swear to God we have been listening to expository dumps for nearly 10 minutes. And then Donna shows up at the hospital where Judd's stunning girlfriend is recovering from the dog bite. And she must be recovered because she's able to take care of dead Donna. And when she starts washing Donna's feet, because that's what you do for your friends, this happens. And it's not a bad effect for CGI. And after the top of Donna's foot comes off, Judd's stunning girlfriend does not run like fuck. Then Donna manages something even more impossible than being dead by covering Judd's stunning girlfriend in a thick stream of fake blood, somehow caused by a tiny surgical scalpel at an angle that doesn't make any sense at all. And if that wasn't impossible enough, she gets way ahead of Donna, who just randomly appears in front of her anyways. So now we're not just dealing with reanimated dead folks, they can also teleport. And speaking of physics not mattering, did they have a lot of bleach blondes with giant fake boobs and hair extensions in 1969? 60-year-old Judd with a tank top arrives at the hospital, and then a millisecond later he arrives just in time somewhere else for them all to save the day from the bad guys? I don't think I understand what's happening. Everyone was just in the hospital, now everyone's suddenly in this house. Then Donna starts slicing Manny open with a scalpel, so they shoot her. Then she comes back and drives a rifle through Judd's dad's spine and out the front of his stomach right when he was in the middle of saying, "Sometimes dead is better." Then Elliot from ET phones home for the last time. To death. David Duchovny bursts into the room and tells them the house is on fire and that they have to leave, but instead of turning in literally any direction and going out one of the doors, they go down into the cellar, under a burning house. And under the house, there's a series of elaborate tunnels, and now I definitely don't know what's happening. And they all go into the elaborate tunnels to find Judd's stunning girlfriend, who was literally just running away from Donna at the hospital. Either this movie has caused me to have a small stroke, or the editor had a small stroke. Then David Duchovny shoots his son, Arnie Grape, who's down there in the tunnels, except he's the one who ended up dead with his fake guts all hanging out, and now they're in a forest, and Manny falls down again and cries again. So Judd gives him a flare to set off if he doesn't come back for him, and he goes off after Arnie Grape. You won't hear me say this often on this channel, I have no idea what's happening. Then while 60-year-old Judd in a tank top and Arnie Grape are wrestling in the water, Manny plugs Arnie Grape right in the eye from 100 feet away in the dark with a flare gun. And that, of course, brings Judd's stunning girlfriend back into the forest from the mud pit she was stuck in somewhere else. What the fuck? Then Manny leaves town with a huge smile on his face, even though the bandage on his hand indicates his sister must have just died very recently. He tries closing the movie out with another one of his stupid monologues, but this is my video, and I'm not going to let him. And there you have it, folks. Pet Sematary Bloodlines. If you've seen the movie already, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button and consider subscribing so you don't miss whatever we do next week. Bye! Until next time, folks.